Station, New Central Television. This is a program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. I am Benga Aboroa.
And I am Rita Omodia. Now, today on The Conversation, we will be looking at South Africa's economic situation, which has continued to deteriorate. No thanks to the crippling power cuts on a daily basis across the country, a situation that has continued to impose huge costs on businesses.
Now, also on the program today, we will be looking at Nigeria's continued rise in debt profile. Outgoing President Muhammadu Buhari says the huge debt incurred by his administration was expended on projects and also to create wealth for ordinary Nigerians.
I wonder what the ordinary Nigerians think about this.
Exactly. Well, ordinary Nigerians, so let me...
You're also an ordinary Nigerian, but the truth is just that. Nigerians, we're still seeing a high level of inflation. People are suffering. There have been a lot of complaints. So as much as you're borrowing money, people are asking, where exactly is the money going to? Where exactly are the infrastructures that you're making?
And it's pointing to it. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the second Niger bridge that was just commissioned, the train services, the renewed airports, and all of that.
So all the money he borrowed, about how much was put into just that. Then what about the lives of the citizens? What has been done about that?
So those infrastructure, I'm not a spokesperson for the government, but economically speaking, is meant to stimulate businesses, and so people can move their goods from farm to end products. And also, while they're building these railways and infrastructure, they're also creating jobs. There's an entire value chain of it. But
these are very wonderful ideas. Definitely, we'll wait for all of that because still we have people complaining about their businesses. But anyways, in South Africa, we're seeing a situation where the government, the ANC member, has also talked about the economic situations in South Africa and saying that, you know, despite the fact that things are quite bad, it's not still very bad.
Okay, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we will be introducing our guest in South Africa to discuss also the economic situation in that Southern African nation. Do stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. Welcome back to The Conversation. Now, a senior official from the ruling African National Congress in South Africa has acknowledged that the country could potentially become a failed state, although it has not yet reached the stage. This admission was made by Fikile Mbalula, the ANC Secretary General, in the midst of South Africa's facing power cuts known as load shedding, lasting up to 10 hours per day. These power cuts have exacerbated the country's economic crisis.
Additionally, South Africa is currently grappling with high levels of corruption, which has significantly eroded confidence in the ANC government. The nation's official unemployment rate stands at approximately 33%, ranking among the highest globally. Shockingly, 1 out of every 2 young South Africans is unemployed, and 60% of the population is living below the poverty line. Nevertheless, Mr. Mbalula asserts that the country is on a path of significant recovery and defends the ANC's economic track record. And now joining us for this conversation, we have Sello Lediga. He's the chairperson, Action SA. He joins us from Limpopo Province. Joining us from Action SA, Limpopo Province, he joins us from Polokwane, South Africa. We also have Themba Godi, President, African People's Convention, joining us from Bushbuckridge in South Africa. Gentlemen, welcome to The Conversation.
Okay, thank you very much, Olu. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here. Now, I'm going to begin with you, Sello. Now, we're having from ANC Secretary General Mbalula. He defends the ANC's economic track record by saying that the party has been able to cushion South Africa from the worst after a legacy of 300 years of deprivation and mismanaged country and economy. What do you make of this insinuation? And since its inception, what is your assessment of the African National Congress in South Africa?
Thank you very much. Let me start by appreciating the frankness of the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, by indicating clearly that we are becoming a failed state. It is an admission that is rare in South Africa, and I think it's because the load shedding has hit so hard, it is becoming increasingly difficult to deny reality. The situation here is very bad. we live with a situation whereby for 10 hours we have not electricity in this country. This is unprecedented. Even under apartheid, we just did not have this kind of a situation. So it's quite clear that the country is going down. The problem is that we don't know how this NC government is going to get ESCOM right so that business people can begin to do their work as expected. Even they themselves contradict each other. But I will tell you that by Christmas, load shedding will be a thing of the past. But when we speak to the Minister of Electricity, I'll tell you that this thing is going to go way into 2024, including a crucial election that we are facing. So as this country is just gloom and doom, and businesses are failing, unemployment has gone has skyrocketed. In a nutshell, all the economic indicators are negative.
With you, Sello, it seems things are quite terrible from what you said in your opening statement. Now, according to South Africa's Reserve Bank, the power crisis is costing the country at least 2% of gross domestic product. How badly are things presently in the country? And there are talks with the government and the Turkish government to provide car-powered powered ships, floating ships that would, support ESCOM. How are those talks going? And do you foresee any improvements in the foreseeable future?
Are you starting to know on that, Adam?
Yes, did you get my question, Sello?
Yeah, I don't know how to get or do very well, but on your side, I can't take very well. I don't know why.
Okay, I'm going to repeat myself. I said according to South Africa's Reserve Bank, the power crisis is costing the country at least 2% of GDP. How bad are things presently in the country, and how are talks with the Turkish government providing floating power stations to support ESCOM? Will that improve the situation in the foreseeable future?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I have to take from audio. I can't hear you at all. I can. But I can hear all.
You still can't hear us? Sello, can you hear us now?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, we're looking at the power situation in South Africa, and we're seeing that the power crisis is costing the country at least 2% of its gross domestic product. So tell us, how badly are things presently in the country with the power situation ongoing and load shedding?
Yeah, look, the situation is bad, but let me explain something. And I know you're trying to talk about this powership, project. The problem with the ANC government is that they actually talking with different mouths. You've got a Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, who will tell you one thing about the state of power in the country. When it comes to Jose Mantashe, who is the Minister of Minerals and Energy, he tells you a different thing. Now President Ramaphosa has appointed another minister called the Minister of Electricity. Unfortunately, their communication is not unified. They don't tell you the same thing. We are citizens. We don't know how bad things are, but I can assure you, from what we observe and the things that we read, the power situation is extremely bad, and our power stations seem to be collapsing, every day. And somehow, the technical people are unable to sort that out. This is causing an escalation in terms of unemployment, in terms of business failure, in terms of all the indicators that are negative that affect us as a country. Our assertion is saying, we believe that the ANC government does not have the talent and the capacity to take us out of this load shedding, as well as growing the economy so that we can reach a stage where people can get employment and all that. We just believe that because of cadre deployment, and I'm sure you know what it means, that there are people who are given jobs that they are not qualified for. And the ANC always indicates that it does do power cadre deployment. The only solution really is to make sure that the ANC addresses this issue by bringing in people from other parties in order to help this government. It reminds me of Churchill, when he became the Prime Minister of England, that it is not time to talk about party politics. It is to get the best South Africans that we have to work together and save this country from load shedding and economic collapse.
Now, Salo, still looking at this power issue, I saw a situation where President Ramaphosa actually created a power electricity ministry and even an electricity minister in the person of Hosea Ramahopa. So would you say that he has not been able to deal with the load shedding issues and power crisis? What has been your assessment since he has been given this portfolio to deal with the power crisis situation in South Africa?
Yeah, but look, this thing of appointing a minister of electricity, we rejected it right at the outset because we don't need a minister of electricity. The technical work is not done by ministers. You already have two ministers that are dealing with energy. You bring the third one. You are actually creating more confusion in the state. So we just believe that President Ramaphosa has run out of ideas, and we thought that by just appointing a minister of electricity, automatically, miraculously, things will improve. As I speak to you, the new Minister of Electricity does not even have powers and are still battling to allocating powers that he can use. As a result, he's working around doing public relations, but he's not doing anything closer to what we deserve to get, in terms of getting the power grid working again. So I think the ANC has run out of ideas. Ramaphosa does not know what to do, and the South Africans are actually left in the lurch, just praying and hoping that there'll be divine intervention.
Yeah, Salo, just want to confirm if you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You said President Cyril Ramaphosa has run out of ideas, but the ANC just in December returned him as the leader of the party, and I believe that's an act of confidence in his ability. Do you think if things continue this way, the ANC might struggle to get him re-elected? And what are the top issues on the minds of South Africans as they head to the polls next year?
Yes, I hope I heard you well. Look, I don't want to play party politics about a serious situation that we are facing in South Africa. We will need to win against this load shedding. We need to get Eskom working, because if that doesn't happen in the short term, the economy will collapse completely. However, next year we have an election, and I just hope that the people of South Africa will come to their senses and realize that the ANC has been in power for almost 3 decades. All the state enterprises that used to strengthen our economy have fallen, Eskom, Transnet, Dinel, South African Airways. There is nothing that the ANC government has not collapsed that is inherited from the apartheid government. So we just hope that the people of South Africa will realize that the ANC's time has come and must go, and that in 2024, they will never look at the history of the liberation struggle. They will look at what this current government is capable of delivering to them and act accordingly. It does not make sense to me for people to continue to vote for a government that has failed in almost every respect, even in its conferences, even in its documentation. Even the Secretary General has indicated that we are facing a failed state here. So all I can say is that I hope that they are doing their best, but I think the people of South Africa must take the future into their own hands and replace this failing government.
Hello, you would agree that there have been external factors, global issues around the world, talking about COVID-19, the Russia-Ukraine war. Can you totally blame the administration of the ANC and Ramaphosa for these current issues? And don't you think that this also contributed to the economic situation we're having in South Africa? Or do you feel that they have been poorly handled by the ANC?
I didn't get it very well. My line is not the best, but I'm trying to hear you. Something about COVID-19, yeah?
Yes, I mentioned external factors affecting the economy globally, talking about COVID-19, the Russia-Ukraine war. So can you totally blame the administration of Ramaphosa or the ANC for the dwindling economic situation going on in South Africa presently?
Yeah, but look, you can't have excuses. COVID-19 was a global phenomenon. and then it came and ended, and we know how it has affected all countries in the world. However, the other countries do not have load shedding. Load shedding that we have in South Africa is a man-made problem of the African National Congress as the ruling party. So there is no excuse whatsoever. There is no way that this economy will survive and grow as long as we are not dealing with this old question of power. So to try and say, yeah, but there was COVID-19, yeah, but other countries are making progress now. And I'm just hoping that even in Nigeria, things are getting better. The only problem here is that you've got a very fake and incapable government without capacity to run the state. And as a result, all of us in this country become victims. I do not think there is any other thing that the people of South Africa can do except to look for an alternative to the ruling party and make sure that the properly qualified people are appointed in key installations of the state, in key agencies of the state. Because cadre deployment means all those that come from the agency are given jobs that they do not deserve. It is time now that we do away with party politics and say, let us have the best technicians appointed. Let us have the best ministers appointed so that we can get out of this thing. If we don't, in the next year or two, maybe Mbalula is right, that we will actually reach a stage of a complete failed state.
Now, Selo, just before we wrap things up on today's conversation, given the luxury of hindsight, do you think South Africa was wrong to shut down its coal-fired plants in order to, meet with climate change objectives and all of that? Because did they put the cart before the horse? And should they have prepared the infrastructure for, renewable energy to be on board before getting rid of those coal-fired plants? Because if you look at European countries, Germany, for example, who claims to be a climate leader in Europe, has gone back to resuscitating some of its old coal-fired plants. So what's your take on this?
Yes. No, I don't know what goes on. When you ask the question, my line goes completely deep. I don't know how to. I just heard a few things that you said, but I'm not sure if I'll be responding appropriately. I don't know if you can get only to ask them because I tend to hear better than you. I don't know why.
We're looking at the alternative sources of energy. Can you hear us now, Selo?
Yes.
You can hear us now. So we're looking at alternative... Selo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I say we're looking at alternative energy sources now, and Benga was asking you if it was wrong for South Africa to have abandoned it while other countries like Germany are still making use of their coal power plants. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first thing is that South Africa has a lot of coal, and it is coal that really powers our economy. I think what we need to do in this country is to be able to deal with both, While we are increasingly reducing our dependence on coal and bringing on outside players, we should not, I think that Ramaphosa wants to do, to say we are completely abandoning coal. And that is why you have the problem between the president and the Minister of Minerals, because he does not agree with the president. So for me, I think it is very important that we don't only depend on power from Eskom, that the state must allow other players outside of Eskom to play a critical role in the supply of power in this country. The process has started, but there are still ideological differences within the same party, which is the African National Congress, with some saying coal forever and others say, you must move as fast as possible away from coal. And that is why there are some independent power producers that have been appointed in order to support the work that Eskom is doing. In that way, I think we can combine the two, move progressively, take the interest of South Africa into account, and make sure that we've got an energy mix that will make our situation better. Because if we don't do that, and we've got these two groups fighting each other, we are not likely to be successful. So I think we need smart government that will be able to manage the two strengths of thought and make sure that ultimately we can go to a certain level of normality. Even if it means we don't have power for a day, for an hour or two, it will be better than the situation we are in now. But I think the Ramaphosa government is unable to deal with the power crisis that we are facing.
All right, thank you so much, Selo. We definitely wait to see how things pan out in South Africa, especially with the load shedding. It's affecting businesses and the livelihood. Thank you so much for joining us in the conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're watching the conversation on News Central TV. We'll go for a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll move to West Africa in Nigeria, where the president, the outgoing government, is saying that incurring a high debt profile was to provide for the country's infrastructure. We'll have such conversations after the break. Join us again.